What's up, guys? Welcome to G Whiskey. My name's Jeff. This is a channel where I offer my thoughts and opinions on a specific whiskey, and once in a while I'll throw in other whiskey-related content. Today we're looking at 3 different Irish whiskeys. This is a flash review. I'll be looking at each of them, I'll be ranking them, and I'll be scoring them. Stick around. So it's a flash review today. This is the second time I've done it on the channel, and I do these because I have these whiskeys that I want to get through, I want to talk about them, I want to touch on them, but I'm not sure that they have a very broad appeal, so I tend to clump them together. They may not be popular whiskeys, but I did pay the money for them, and I want to talk about them. So today it's going to be 3 Irish whiskeys. It's just going to be basically a normal review, but condensed. It's just kind of like a quick rundown. If you know anything about Irish whiskey, then you know it is on the up and up these days. There's a lot of new distilleries being built in Ireland. There's a lot of interesting things happening on the whiskey scene over there. And sadly, I don't have access to much Irish whiskey here in Taiwan. Very little, and it tends to be quite expensive. And actually, the whiskeys we're looking at today are the only whiskeys I have in my collection. I had Redbreast, finished that bottle. I have yet to try the Green Spot whiskey or the Spot whiskeys. There's a lot of stuff about Irish whiskey that I admit I just don't know. So it'll be 3 Irish in no particular order. It'll be a basic rundown, and then afterwards I'll give you the ranking, I'll give you the scores, and stick around after all that. I've got a mystery pour here in my glass. I'll let you know what that is. It's a very interesting whiskey. It's an Irish whiskey, but it isn't. An Irish whiskey, but it isn't? What does that mean, Jeff? Very intriguing. Well, dear viewer, stick around and you will find out. All will be revealed, and yeah, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump straight into our reviews. And in the meantime, if you'll kindly leave a like down below, that'd be greatly appreciated. So we're going to start things off with Hinch Small Batch Bourbon. This is a malt and grain whiskey. It's no age stated. It is, of course, bourbon matured. And I do believe this is a sourced whiskey. Now, Hinch do have a proper distillery, but that only opened in 2016. The website says this is a 3 to 4 year old whiskey, so it is possible that it came from the new distillery, but I doubt it. I think it's still sourced. They do have older stuff. They have stuff that's like 10 years old, 18 years old. Of course, that stuff will be sourced, but I think even their no age stated range as it is now is sourced from outside. Correct me if I'm wrong. We can probably expect a relaunch from these guys in a few years when a full range of their house-made stuff is ready to go, and I guess we'll see how that turns out. But in the meantime, we're just going to be looking at this one, so let's jump into our review. And I think I already asked you for a like. Yeah, I did. For our specs, this one comes in at 43% ABV. It is probably chill filtered. It is probably colored. As for the bottle, I don't mind it. I think it's a good looking bottle. I'll give it 3 out of 5 presentation. On the nose, we've got vanilla, corn, grain, honey, and some grassy notes. It's a very clean and pleasant nose, maybe a bit generic though. Our palate and finish have more bright, clean vanillas, grasses. There's cream. It's quite grainy. There's some gentle honey. There's a little bit of malt in there and some tropical fruits. It's a very simple and straightforward whiskey, but it's not unpleasant. So this is about as simple and straightforward as they come. Do not buy this if you're a single malt lover and you're looking for an experience. Buy this if you're looking for a beefed up Jameson. It's smooth, it's gentle, it's easy, it's rounded. Yes, it is boring. Our flavors are nice though. Next up, we're looking at Rowan Co. This is a Diageo product. It's a sourced whiskey. They don't officially tell us where it's from, but it is understood to be from Bushmills, which is a brand that Diageo sold to Cask in 2014. This brand is probably best known for their standard no age stated malt and grain blend, but what I've got here is a cask strength release. It's a single malt and it's 13 years old. We've had 3 cask strength releases so far, one from 2019, one from 2020, and one from 2021. What I've got here is the 2020. It seems like their plan for these cask strength releases is to switch things up every year when it comes to production process or maturation. As I said, this one is the 2020. It's a single malt and it's matured in port barrels. Now, it's not a port finish. The entire maturation happened in port barrels, and that's actually quite rare. And it's different from the other 2 releases. In 2019, it was a no age stated cask strength and it was a blend of malt and grain. And the 2021 release was a single grain 13-year-old, and that one was finished in alligator charred casks. So we do have some interesting releases there. For something like this, it could go either way. If you're a fan of the channel, then you know I'm not the biggest port guy. I don't love port influence in my whiskey, but it does work out sometimes. And the fact that this is not a finish, the fact that we have a nice age statement, the fact that it's cask strength, it could be interesting stuff. So let's check it out. For our specs, this one is a 58% ABV. In terms of color and chill filtration, I couldn't find any information about that, so if you guys know anything about that, do let me know down below in the comments. As for the bottle, pretty cool. Yeah, I like this bottle. It's different. It stands out. I'll give it 4.5 out of 5 for presentation. Our nose is port cask and a lot of it. We get peppercorn, we get berries, we have sweet strawberries, sweet blueberries, we have berry jam. We do get some distillate behind all that, but it is pretty faint. It's definitely the port casks doing most of the talking here. It's sweet and it's spicy. For our palate and finish, the arrival is big, it's loud, it's spicy, and then we transition into these very rounded strawberry notes. There is a good amount of complexity here. Our berry notes are big and thick and juicy and sweet. We have lingering oak, spice, tannins, and dark chocolate. So, unsurprisingly, this one's going to be great for your port fans or your fans of heavy cask influences. It's very big and sweet and fruity and bold, and it does deliver on what it promises. So really, this is good quality stuff, even though it is a pretty big departure from my preferred style, which is fine. You do have to mix it up. But as a result, it's not a whiskey that I love. I do like it though. I like that it's balanced and complex and powerful. I do wish our distillate came through a little bit more, which of course is the go-to complaint when we're talking about cask-dominated whiskeys, but ultimately it is good stuff. In terms of value, it is a bit expensive, maybe a little bit too expensive, but we are getting something that's age-stated in cask strength and fully port matured, which again I think is interesting. So if you like that style, if you like that port influence in your whiskey, you know what you'll find in Dalmore Portwood, Glenmorangie Kinta Reuben, Tomatin 14, those port flavors are in here, but what's nice is that they're a little bit more cranked up with the cask strength. It is interesting stuff, and if you're a fan of the style, I would say it's worth checking out. Alright, so last up, we've got a 16-year-old Tyrconnell. This one is a double distilled single malt. It's from the Cooley Distillery. And this brand actually has another 16-year-old out. That one is a finish in Oloroso and Moscatel casks. That is not this one. This one is entirely matured in bourbon barrels. So of our 3 whiskeys today, this one has the most transparency. It actually has a distillery attached to it. It's also our highest age statement, and it's our most expensive bottle today. So expectations are a little bit higher. Let's find out. Let's jump into the review. For our specs, this one comes in at a respectable 46% ABV. I don't know if it's chill filtered or not. If you guys do, you can let me know down below in the comments. Unfortunately, we do know that this is a colored whiskey. As for the design, the bottle, I think it's okay. It's not great, but it's not terrible. I do like that we have like a little metal bit at the base there. I think the label could probably use an extra pop of color in there, but whatever, who cares? 3.5 out of 5 for presentation. Our nose is fresh, clean, and floral. It's very reminiscent of a delicate Highland single malt Scotch, which is a style that I'm very much a fan of. We have a lot of malty notes in here, barley, there's vanilla, there's buttery pastries, there's lemon tart, and there's like a fresh garden with like flowers and herbs in there. I like this nose. The palate and the finish are a nice continuation of the nose. We're still on barley and pastries. There's apple pie, there's florals, there's some honey, there's lemon meringue pie, there's some baking spices in there. This is, again, very fresh, very clean, wonderfully rounded. Excellent. So I like this one. It is bright and fresh and delicate and clean. It's just all around delicious. Again, very reminiscent of like that delicate Highland single malt style, which I think is a good thing. But it does distinguish itself a little bit. We do have a touch of that Irish tinny pot still note. So this one would be great for your fans of stuff like Deanston or maybe Arran, Glencadam. So think bright distillate, think clean casks, think vibrant whiskey. And again, really, if you blindfolded me, I would just think this is a gentle Highlander. So I really like this stuff, and not just because it is good quality, and of course it is, but it's also very much in line with my personal preferences these days. So it is one I'd recommend. The only issue is that I think this was a limited release from a couple of years back, so I'm not sure if it's still out there, if it's still easy to find. I didn't pay too much for it. It is a slightly more expensive whiskey, but it's a 46% ABV, 16-year-old whiskey, and I do think it delivers. I've really enjoyed this bottle, so I think, yeah, pick it up if you can find it. So for my final thoughts, I'm not going to waste time. We're going to jump right into it. You guys have probably already worked out the hierarchy anyway. My favorite was easily the Tyrconnell, excellent whiskey. Next up, we have the Rowan Co, also good stuff. And finally, we have the Hinch, which is also whiskey. As for scores, they're going to look like this. So yeah, these are the 3 Irish whiskeys that I own. They're the only Irish whiskeys that I own. I know I'm not the go-to Irish guy. I wish I knew more about Irish whiskey. I wish I could explore it more. Unfortunately, here in Taiwan, Scotch is the go-to. It's much more widely available. There's infinitely more selection and the prices are better. So that will be the majority of what I drink and review. But of course, feel free to recommend Irish whiskeys that you think I should try. I cannot promise that I'll be able to find them or that the price will be fair, but I will do my best. And yeah, that's that. For those of you who stuck around to find out what my mystery pour is, my mystery pour is Ichiro's Malt and Grain World Blended Whiskey. Now, I admit this one is a bit of a cheat, but as I said, those 3 bottles are the only Irish that I own, and this was as close to the theme as I could get. As the name suggests, this is a blend of whiskeys from all over the world, and that does include Ireland. We also have Scottish whiskey, American whiskey, Canadian whiskey, and Japanese whiskey in here. And if you're a purist, then this is going to sound like a Franken whiskey, and that's fair. And if you told me about this and you didn't give me a chance to try it, I probably would be turned off by the concept. But as it turns out, I really enjoy this whiskey. I think it's fantastic, and I recommend it. And I guess that is it for today, guys. That is my little flash review. Thank you very much for tuning in. If you want to help support the channel, please consider becoming a patron. Otherwise, you can like, comment, and subscribe. That is always appreciated. And of course, I do want to hear from you. Have you tried any of the Irish whiskeys that I looked at today? Have you tried the Japanese one? What were your thoughts? You can share them down below in the comments. Also in the comments, you can let me know what you want to see me review next, and I'll keep it in mind for my upcoming videos. Bye, guys.